Hello, this is Dr. Felicia B. Young with Solutions Counseling Services. This Culture Shift podcast is dedicated to strengthening relationships with the necessary tools that are needed to succeed. We hope you enjoy this episode and subscribe as we shift the culture together, one relationship at a time.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to our Culture Shift podcast. For our Facebook followers, this is better known as Counseling Tip Tuesday. We are your hosts, and this is the lovely, the amazing, the awesome Dr. Felicia Young.
Oh, stop it. You always make me blush. This is the handsome. Y'all, don't he look good in his gold? Oh, my goodness. All right, don't look too hard. This is the amazing Dr. Bishop Johnny Young Jr.
Yeah, we're excited about this today. And today's broadcast is brought to you by Elevate Church. Elevate Church that is pastored by my brother and my friend, Apostle Keith Reshort. I want to let you know that Elevate Church is a place that is for you and your family. If you're looking to grow in revelation and knowledge, this is the place that you can go. If you're looking to impact your community, this is the place that you can go. If you're looking to fellowship with them, they have an interim location where they're transitioning at the moment, and you can find them for fellowship over at Victory International Ministries, 10120 Florida Boulevard. Their service times are Sunday mornings at 11 a.m., Tuesday evenings at 6:30. You don't want to miss the opportunity to be impact and go higher at Elevate Church.
Elevate Church.
Also, our relationship quotes of the day comes from Menashe Beckwith. And it also comes from Pastor Marie Berto Usain. This is our relationship quotes for the day, and I'm going to go ahead and give Menashe Beckwith's relationship quote. Menashe Beckwith's relationship quote says, "Happiness in a marriage is like a light bulb. If the light bulb burns out, you do not go and buy a new house. You just fix the light bulb."
That's good.
That's good. You don't go buy a new house. You just go fix the light bulb. That is good. That is good.
That's great. And Pastor Marie Usain has a very interesting quote today. She says, the number one thing a woman needs is security. Amen. And the number one thing a man needs is respect. Amen. Marriage is all about fulfilling each other's requests.
Oh,
man, that's a word right there.
Wow. So you have a need, I have a need, and marriage is all about us fulfilling one another's needs.
Yes.
All right. That is awesome. We thank for our relationship quotes from Menashe Beckwith. Also, for those that are tuning in, for Pastor Marie Berto Usain for the relationship quotes. And today's broadcast, again, is brought to you by Elevate Church, pastored by the Apostle Keith Reshort. Today, we got a very good subject that we're going to discuss that is going to be beneficial and helpful to building trust in a relationship in your marriage. And that's what we're going to talk about today. 7 ways to build trust in your relationship. 7 ways to build trust in your relationship. I'm talking about...
This is a hot topic.
This is a hot topic?
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm excited about all the topics every week, but this one, I feel like everybody under the sun can use it. Every relationship. Now, we are focused on, of course, the intimate relationships, but even in a mother-daughter relationship or a mother-son relationship, grandparent, friends, need trust. They need to be able to trust one another.
Or any interpersonal relationship needs trust of some kind. Trust is important. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how important trust is. But before we do, let's talk about what is trust. Because trust actually can be defined per individual. Per individual, you can define trust, what it means to you. So let's start off with you, Doc. Let's hear from you. What do you view trust as? What is trust to you?
Trust to me is first of all, it's very big. It's very big to me. I believe that without trust, there's no true relationship. That's what I believe. Of course, there are some relationships where people just interact with one another on a very, very surface level, and they don't even trust one another to even share anything intimate or secret. Those are not that's not an emotional relationship. To me, that's not a relationship. That's kind of like an acquaintanceship.
Okay.
So, but to answer your question, trust means this. If I trust you, that means that I can trust you with my secrets and you won't go and tell anyone. That means I can trust you that what you say is what it is and you're not lying to me. And also I can trust you to be vulnerable, meaning if I trust you, if I fall short, then if I trust you, I trust that you will catch me, help me up, or at least tell me how not to fall again.
At least not. Okay. All right. So those are the areas of trust for you. Trust for me is a little bit different. It's still a level of vulnerability, but trust means to be able to count on you to be there. It doesn't matter what it is or what's going on through thick and thin, up and down, in and out. I want to be able to trust you with my secrets and everything else, but I also want to be able to trust you with my development. I want to be able to trust you that I'm growing, I'm developing, I'm doing, and that's important to me as far as trust is concerned. So every individual has trust that is different. If you don't have the conversation with your spouse, you won't know what trust is to them, and you won't know how to fulfill it.
Yeah, I agree with that, but also there's just a basic level of trust that everybody I can agree on, I believe, and that is if I trust you not to violate me, not to intentionally bring harm.
Yeah.
So that's like the basic
Not to be a predator.
Yeah, in any situation, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, anything like that, that you won't intentionally bring harm. Because anybody that does that is not trustworthy.
Yeah. I agree with you 100% that if you have someone that is out to get you or that has an ulterior motive or anything like that, and they're taking advantage of you or something like that, then I agree with you 100% that is definitely an area of not being trustworthy. So we're going to talk about how to build that trust in a relationship, because you said earlier that trust is actually a fundamental component to any relationship. That is not a real relationship if trust is not available and able to be active in that relationship. Yeah. So we're going to start off with 7 different ways to build trust. 7 different ways to build trust. And I guess are we going 1 and 2? Am I diving in? I go first. You want to go first?
I just want to highlight. I want to say something about trust. That's an introductory statement that trust can be built or rebuilt depending on the relationship and the nature. It's pretty similar in doing both, whether you're building trust or rebuilding trust. Most of the components of it is similar, but I just wanted to highlight that the rebuilding of trust or building trust period takes time, patience, and work.
Yes. Time, patience, and work.
It just doesn't happen or is established. It's just
okay. So building trust and rebuilding trust is going to take time, patience, and work.
Yes.
Everybody got that? We want to make sure that you understand that if you are building trust or you're rebuilding trust in your relationship, it is going to take time, patience, and work. Point blank.
Yeah.
That's going to be good. Yeah. So let's start off. The first, I guess we'll use all of these as building blocks then.
Okay.
If we have to build trust, we'll call them building blocks then.
Okay.
Building block number 1. If you're going to build trust, this is what you're going to have to do. Number 1, say what you mean and mean what you say.
Yeah.
Say what you mean and mean what you say.
Yeah. You going to elaborate on that?
I am going to elaborate on it. All right, so let's talk about it a little bit. Now, in other words, in a relationship, you're going to have to build a track record of trustworthy behavior, truthfulness. Let's say that. You're going to have to build a track record of being truthful and a track record of having integrity. Now, in scripture, we're licensed professional Christian therapists. So we're going to use this as an opportunity to talk about utilizing this as an opportunity to talk about our parallel of our relationship with Christ.
Okay.
Our relationship with God works like this, that when God would show up with the children of Israel, he was going to lead them out of Egypt, but they didn't know about him at that time. They had been in bondage all that time. Their minds have been warped because of the bondage and the slavery they were in. And now Moses shows up and he said that God wants to lead you out, and they don't know who God is. They don't know anything about him. So he begins a steady process of building a track record with them. He delivers them through the Red Sea. He gives them water, turns bitter water into sweet. He gives them bread from heaven, gives them quail from heaven. He does all of these things. So now when he's dealing with the next generation, when he addresses them, he says, I am the Lord that delivered that was with your forefathers, that delivered Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. What he was saying was, check my track record.
Yeah,
I have a history of coming through with whatever I tell you that I'm going to do. And relationships have to have that.
Yes.
Husbands particularly have to make sure that we don't become so preoccupied with things in life that we become so preoccupied with sports, with football season, with work, with ministry, that we don't fulfill our words in our own home.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that we're not doing that.
That's good. And you know, I wanted to say that say what you mean and mean what you say. We think about it, we often like to think about it as, okay, I have to fulfill what I'm saying. Yes, you do. But I would like to take another look at it from another angle. When you joke a lot, if I say, I don't like you, or you make me sick, or, you know, that's saying stuff that I don't really mean.
Yeah.
And we don't realize that even those little things constantly over time begin to pick at the trust level or your commitment level. It will make your partner begin to question what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, because on one hand you say you love me, then you tell me I make you sick, or even if you're joking. So I just wanted to highlight it from that angle as well. We have to realize that even as from young children, we begin to develop ways that we trust people and ways that we protect ourselves. So we take, for example, the parent that always threatens, I'm going to spank you. Over time, that little child begins to realize, oh, they always say that, but they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Or if there's somebody else, if they have an older sibling that promises them, I'm going to share this with you, but never really shares with them, then they develop ways to protect themselves. And anyone who's been in any level of relationship of any kind has been let down before. Yeah. So if we go back to God, just like God came to the children of Israel and said, hey, look, I'm God. I'm going to do this for you and do this for you. If we think about it in terms of a relationship, ladies, if we meet our new boo and we know how that last thing went, and he come and say, I'm different. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. We looking like, okay, yeah, we're going to see. I need to see it first. Well, guess what? Our trust, we're bringing a level of damaged trust from one relationship into the new relationship where we have a fresh, clean slate. But when we bring that level of distrust that we brought from the old relationship, we're already hitting it, like taking a hammer and breaking up the new level of trust that we have with the new person.
And we find that to be difficult. One of the things that we find to be difficult in counseling couples, interpersonal relationship therapy, we find it difficult that if the trust had been violated, to get that person to a place of giving the relationship a chance. Because what happens when the trust has been violated, you begin to lose imagination for the relationship.
Yes.
You begin to go off of memory then. You begin to only think about what has happened, not looking at the potential of what this could be going forward.
Right.
And that is something that I want to tell every couple. Do not take your spouse's trust for granted.
Please.
Don't take it for granted. Don't think that just because they trust me, I can violate the trust and you're just supposed to go back to trust. You're supposed to trust me. Well, no, I'm supposed to love you.
Right.
Yeah. The trust part you have to earn now. You're going to have to work. What are those three things again in order to it?
That's
time.
That's why I wanted to highlight them in the beginning. Time, patience, and work.
Now, I have to build that track record. If I don't have time, if I'm not patient,
I'm not willing to give it time.
If I'm not willing to give it time, I just can't. Sometimes you find in relationships that the people that are most frustrated are the people that violated the trust.
Yes.
They're the most. Well, I mean, you're the one that violated the trust. Yeah, so you're gonna have to give it time. I mean, ladies, fellas, couples, you're gonna have to give it time to rebuild.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to give it time. And listen, just because the trust has been violated does not mean that everything is over. You can rebuild, but if you're not gonna be able to successfully rebuild if you don't have time, patience, and you're not willing to roll up your sleeves and get to work.
Yes.
And get to work.
And that brings us to our second building block, and it's being vulnerable. You're gonna have to be vulnerable if you want to build the trust or rebuild trust, and you're gonna have to do it gradually.
Wow.
If you take, for example, two co-workers who work together for 6 months, but are constantly in the trenches, they constantly need one another and have each other's back. They develop a sense of trust within 6 months that is stronger than someone who has had casual conversations for over 2 decades.
Yeah.
I remember when we were freshly dating and in a relationship, we had some challenges.
Yeah.
And at one point, it seemed like we had so many challenges that all we could look to was one another.
Yeah.
And so we developed this strong bond.
And trust.
And trust in a short amount of time, because we were forced to a point to where we felt like it's you and I. We stood back to back to face some challenges.
Yeah.
And so we have to be vulnerable to each other and say, hey, look, I trust you.
And that vulnerability is important because building trust takes a willingness to open yourself up to the potential risk of hurt. Mm-hmm. So that vulnerability, when you're becoming vulnerable, what you're saying was, there's a possibility I can get hurt in this process.
Yes.
And that's going to hinder your relationship if you're just trying to stop yourself from getting hurt. Because you don't want to get hurt. Nobody wants to enter into a relationship where they know that, okay, nobody will willingly enter into a relationship and say, well, they're going to hurt you. They're going to do this to you. They're going to bring problems. They're going to do that. But no, what happens in the relationship, very simply, is that you begin to develop trust by saying, now, there's a possibility that you could take advantage of me. Marriage is a vulnerable position. If you are not vulnerable in your marriage, you're doing it wrong.
Yes.
You're completely vulnerable. How did Jesus get sold out? In that he was in a relationship with Judas. He was vulnerable. He was vulnerable and in a relationship with Judas. And that was a problem. Hopefully it's still going. So you can check and see. Okay. If it's still going. But that was a problem because he was in a relationship with Judas. And had he not been in that relationship with Judas, he would have never known. He would have never been betrayed. But that gave him the opportunity to be betrayed because he was in that relationship with Judas. Now, we're not in a relationship saying that we want to be betrayed. We want to be violated. We want to be hurt. But there's a possibility that this can happen. Now, you know for sure that you are not going to go into a relationship knowing that you can be hurt. But you got to go into the relationship knowing that I'm going to have to give my all and open myself up to my spouse. And there's a possibility. We are in a marriage together. And there's a possibility that you could leave, that I could be left, I could be hurt, I could be taken advantage of, and all of that. But I have to take that chance. Yeah. And I don't develop that trust without being vulnerable. Yeah. I have to be vulnerable.
And also, if you go into a relationship saying, well, I'm not going to trust them, I'm going to protect myself, then you become the person that's not to be trusted.
Yeah.
You become
if you don't have an all-in mentality.
Yes.
Wow.
Then the person that you are fearing that they're not trustworthy, you become the person that's not trustworthy. Also, I wanted to say this in the aspect of rebuilding trust. We are talking about being vulnerable, but remember, I said that word gradually because if it's in the case of betrayal or infidelity or substance abuse, then I want to warn you because I don't want to say, okay, just go back and give all in.
Or any form of abuse. Any form of abuse.
Yeah, but you need to be gradual. In order for the trust to rebuild, you are going to have to string together some moments where you trust, where you're vulnerable and you're trusting, but just don't go back in and say, okay, I'll just I'm free again, because there are some levels of accountability that needs to take place before you just fully throw all your trust back in.
Yeah, and but you're going to have to take those steps. You are going to have to take those steps. You're going to have to say, all right, let me take a step. Let me give a chance. And we'll get to some of those other building blocks, which is good. But you got to understand this, that number one, first building block, you're going to have integrity. Say what you mean what you say. Number two, you're going to have to be vulnerable. You're going to have to be vulnerable gradually. Number three, the third building block, remember the role of respect.
Yes.
Remember the role of respect. That's gonna be important. That's what Aretha said. Aretha, we don't call her Aretha, we call her Aretha.
Riri.
Riri. That's what Aretha said. I respect her too much to call her Riri. Aretha. That's what Aretha Franklin said. That respect. That's what she wants. And she said just a little bit, but you want more than just a little bit.
And we go back to the quote that we have from Pastor Marie Usan. She said the number one thing that a man needs is respect.
Yeah.
And the number one thing that a woman needs is security. But if we look at that security, in that security is respect. is respect.
That is respect for a woman.
Yes, one of the most emotionally lasting ways that our partners can damage us and damage our trust is by belittling us or making us feel less than, viewing us with condescension or contempt rather than respect. If you think of respect, remember I said that basic level of respect. The basic level of respect is the common denominator in any relationship.
Wow.
In any relationship. And the more emotionally intimate your relationship is, the more important it is to keeping up that basic level of respect.
I tell you what, it is important. You say a basic level, just sometimes, let me just say it this way. Sometimes in marriage, we show a stranger the best of us. And then we turn around and show our spouse the worst of us. I mean, you said something about condescending statements and all of that. And we don't know how dangerous sarcasm is in our marriage. How dangerous, how disrespectful our words can be, our actions can be. And I want to tell you this, your marriage is on a road to divorce as the disrespect elevates or increase. The more the disrespect increase, the more you're on your way out the door.
You are.
Yeah, because no marriage can survive a lasting time with disrespect. You have to have, and disrespect is a lot of things. Number one, disrespect is having outside conversations with anybody else. That's a basic level of disrespect. But especially if you're going to have that those conversations around your spouse. I mean, I've said couples to come in and they've talked about they were talking to the other person around their spouse.
Yeah.
That's a heavy level of disrespect.
A heavy level.
Leaving your home at night when your spouse is asleep and going to having secret stuff going on and accounts and hiding money and conversations and encounters with other people. All of that is a part of the disrespect. But then there are also small things that are disrespectful, like taking your information for granted when you offer a suggestion or wisdom or something like that. It is just as bad for me to shoot it down as something stupid as it is for the other things.
Yes. Or your spouse coming to you and talking to you and expressing how they feel emotionally. You say, "Oh, what? That's crazy."
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we let that phrase roll off of our tongue a lot.
Yeah.
And we don't understand the damage. If your spouse feels like I can't come to you for nothing, then that's a sign that you've been disrespectful.
Yeah.
Point blank.
Yeah.
And also, time. Disrespectful with your time. If you give yourself all day to everything else, and then when you tired and you worn out, then that's what you present to your spouse. That's disrespectful. That's disrespectful. If your spouse has a concern and they come to you with a concern and you like, oh well, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You don't take the time to say, well, let me hear my spouse out, or they appear to be hurting right now. Let me comfort them. And you take a nonchalant, careless role. That's disrespectful.
Yeah. Or just suck it up, pull it together.
Yeah. That's disrespectful.
That's disrespectful. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that you cannot afford to get so familiar with one another.
Yeah.
That you just lose the respect value in that person. Sometimes we have more respect for people that don't have our best interests in mind than we do people that are in the trenches with us in our relationship. Yeah. So you want to make sure, like she said, you want to make sure you're being respectful. Let's put some categories out there. Respectful with your time, number one. Respectful with your attention. Respectful with your affection. Respectful with your words and your actions. Yes. Respectful. Make sure that you're respectful. And sometimes that disrespect comes from a hard heart. It comes from a hard heart. And when your heart has been softened, you can go back to the respect level that is there. So you got to remember the role of respect if you're going to build trust. Yes. Respect builds trust.
Yes. And remember, time, patience,
and work. Hard work. I'm going to say it that way. Time. We're going to keep saying that throughout this episode. Time, patience, and hard work. Let's go to building block number 4. This is your building block. Building block number 4.
Building block number 4 is giving the benefit of the doubt. Now, to me, this was similar to being vulnerable, because what goes hand in hand with trust is setting aside your doubts. You know, and the doubts may come from the person that you're in a relationship with. They may not. They may come from other times that you've been let down. But you have to set aside your doubts for trust to be rebuilt. In relationships where the trust has been broken and you're trying to rebuild, like I said earlier, it may not be wise to set aside all your doubts at once. But you still need a certain level of setting aside your doubts and being vulnerable, and then giving what you're doing when you set aside your doubts. You're giving your partner or your husband or the person you're in a relationship with a chance to show you that they care about you, to show you that you don't have to have those doubts anymore.
To come through.
To come through.
To come through. You're giving them a chance to come through for you. You have to build. Remember, trust has to be built. It would never be a time where you just wake up in the morning and trust show up.
Yeah.
It has to be built, especially if there's a rebuilding stage. Every couple that's listening to us today, you're going to have to build trust. And just because you trust one another now doesn't mean that it can't get better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Build on it.
Yes.
Every day, use your time, your patience, and your hard work to build on it. Give them a chance to come through for you. There are going to be some things that are going to happen that's going to look like a violation of some sort in the past. Somebody did something, whether it was your spouse or not, and it's going to reflect that. And you're going to have to do the scary thing. And that's scary. That's scary. That's scary. I know it is for me. I know it is for me. I can't speak for every couple on this show, but I know it is for me. It is definitely scary to go to a place of having the benefit of the doubt of saying, all right, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to stand on what I said. I'm going to give you a chance to come through. And that's important. And that's what he wants. That's what we need. We need that. We need to be able.
You know, and I tell people when I counsel them, especially women, I say, look, I know it may be difficult or scary, but in times when you feel like, oh my God, I just can't trust my spouse, trust God. Trust God in the relationship, because you have to trust God that even in this relationship, He's still with you. He's still looking out for you. He's still protecting you. He's still God. So when it's difficult to trust your spouse, trust God. You should always have your ear to His voice anyway.
Yeah, you should always have his ear to his voice. Go ahead and take care of the other one.
Okay, number 5. We're going to move on to number 5 of the building blocks. And this one says, express your feelings functionally, especially when it's tough.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm going to raise my hand. When I get mad, upset, angry, or whatever, it's very hard for me to express myself. It's very hard for me to express myself. And I don't know if it's just because I don't want to. It makes me feel too vulnerable. But it's very hard for me to say, look, when you did this, it made me feel like this. Sounds simple, huh? But try to do it when you're upset.
Functionally.
Yes, functionally. That is the hard part. So emotional intimacy comes in part from knowing that you can express your feelings to someone and that they will care about you. They won't dismiss you, shut you down, tell you you're crazy, anything like that. They will be willing to listen. Listen. It means that they will make time to understand your viewpoint and not just shut it down. This is a mature relationship. This is the maturity of trust. Being able to talk about feelings without escalating, shouting, verbally attacking, or closing down the conversation.
I tell you what, guys, something that, fellas, I'm talking to you, something that I realized from counseling, but also in a relationship, the worst thing you can do to a woman is just dismiss her as, call her crazy. Just dismiss it as crazy, because she has a different perspective, a different approach, a different mindset. And oftentimes we just like, man, she crazy, man. Man, you crazy. You tripping about everything. We say that. And then what it does, it begins to work against expressing yourself functionally. So I have to create an atmosphere where you're comfortable with talking about what's going on with you.
Yes.
And I don't automatically just dismiss it as something wrong with you. Mm-hmm. I gotta create a climate and an atmosphere where you can come. You know, God never does that with me. He never says something's wrong with me or that I'm crazy or I'm losing it just because I come to him crying or I come to him in need or I come to him with something. In fact, it says he can identify with everything that I'm dealing with. that he identified. It's a level of compassion that comes with this. So you got to express your feelings functionally, but we have to create that atmosphere, especially fellas, we have to create that for our wives. Emotional intimacy helps to build trust. So we got to learn to discuss it. Now, one of the reasons we can't discuss our emotions is because we can't define our emotions. We have difficulty discussing what we cannot define. How do I grow in a place of being able to define what I'm doing? Number one, I'm going to have to increase my vocabulary, and I only do that by reading.
Wow.
I find the words to use by growing. Now, we live in a day and age where it's a tech age and we'll rather watch than read. But once I begin to do that, I begin to articulate, because I may not be mad. I may be anxious.
Yeah.
Or I may not be sad. I may be disappointed.
Yes.
And I need to be able to articulate to my spouse what I'm feeling so that my spouse can get the grasp of what's going on and help me, or to help comfort me or console me at that moment.
I feel the need on tugging on my heart to just have a public service announcement for the woman that's watching today, and you've been saying, am I going crazy? I feel like I'm going crazy. I know I saw this, but he said I didn't see this. I think I'm losing my mind. If you feel like that, reach out to me.
Reach out.
Reach out to me. Like, this is...
That's what we're here for.
This is my soapbox moment right here. Like, this is part of the reason why 411 for Women was created. You are not crazy. You are not going to lose your mind. Call me. Text me. Inbox me. Whatever. Let's talk about it.
Leshi B. Leshi capital Bee.
Yes.
Make sure you inbox her so
Yes.
she can help you out with that.
All right. Now
that she's off of the 411 for Women segment, we're back to the Counseling Tip Tuesday.
Okay.
And you got to be able to express that emotion functionally. And a lot of times we dismiss something as crazy because we do not understand it ourselves. Men have a different point of view than women. We have a very fundamental, basic point of view. I like to say that we view the world as black and white. And women view it as 168 box of crayons. The color blends are completely different. And because we don't understand one another, we can also dismiss one another. And that's not what we want to do in a relationship.
No.
You want to open up the opportunity to have, these are grown-up conversations.
Yes.
This grown-up stuff right here.
Yes.
Sit down with a pen and paper, write down exactly how you feel, narrow that down to the lowest common denominator, and break that thing down, and then have a conversation about it.
And don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to learn. Listen, we are therapists. Our specialty is relationships, and I still learn stuff. I learn stuff every Tuesday.
We have to continue to learn.
When I'm researching for Counseling Tip Tuesday, I'm still learning how to make a more intimate relationship, how to be more fulfilling to my husband in this relationship. And so that's what you have to do. Learn to discuss challenging emotions in ways that don't automatically feel threatening or start a conflict.
Yeah. Because if I talk to you about how I feel and I can't express it, number one. Number two, I'm high in momentum.
By tone and body language.
Tone and body language. And you know what? You're not going to keep doing this to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to have a positive effect. So I need to wait till I can calm down. I need to be able to articulate how I feel.
Yes.
And I need to be able to express that.
Yeah.
I need to be able to express that. Yeah. So we're going to go into number six. Number six, you have to take risk together. I like this one right here. You have to take risk together. Go ahead, Doc.
Okay, any kind of risk. And you know what? Recently, when, like I said, I learned stuff. And when we was researching this one, and you know what we've been doing, taking risks together, a new risk we've been taking together?
What is that?
Watching scary movies. Not horror stuff like that, not demonic stuff. But we've been like, we did the alligator movie.
Yeah.
Crawl.
Crawl. That was a good movie.
The shark movie.
Both of them 47 meters down or something like that, below.
Yeah, I don't know. It has opened up a new facet of our relationship. At first, I wouldn't watch scary movies. I didn't like that, but I think you know what did it? The free fall thing. We went on a vacation. Yeah,
that's the take risk. That's the one I want to talk about. You got to get out of your comfort zone. So we're in Destin, Florida. We're in Destin, and I got to tell everybody what you did to me. So you got to take the risk together. So I see the free fall thing, and I said, oh, man, they got a free fall. She looks at me and she says, let's do it. Let's do it. What the free fall is, they have zip lines on the harbor in Destin, Florida. So the zip lines are 50 feet high, 75 feet high. And then the free fall is 100 feet high. So you walk up these stairs, all of these stairs, and you get to the top of this free fall thing. They put on this harness. Then they put you on the outside of the tower and they tell you to walk off. Now, it ain't nothing down there but concrete. So they tell you to take a step off the side and just start falling. And you start falling. Now, it took me 30 minutes to do it, to build up the courage to do it. My mind could not wrap itself around stepping off the side of this tower at 100 feet in the air, and this cable was going to catch me. So I finally step off. I'm falling, and eventually the cable catches me. So I get at the bottom, I look back up, and I said, come on, baby. And I see her start walking down the stairs. She's not going to do the free fall. She said, I just was up there for moral support for you. But there's something happens when you take risks. And I'm not encouraging everybody to do free falls and skydiving and tubing and parasailing. And although we love all of that.
All of those.
Yeah, but we're not encouraging everybody to do that. What we're saying is a basic, get out of your comfort zone. Try new things.
Yes.
Make changes together. Some of us, we eat the same thing, wear the same thing, go the same places, do the same things, and our relationship and our marriage have become a ritual, a mundane ritual where we're just going around in circles and circles and circles and circles. No, you got to try new things. Get out of the box.
And when you do that, it's both of you, again, that's that leaning on one another thing. You both are outside of your comfort zone. You having fun. You're having fun again. You're becoming friends again. You're not just husband and wife, but all the pressures of life.
we were in Destin as well, and they had this slingshot thing.
The swing.
The swing that pulls you up 75 feet in the air. And they had to connect us. We had to lay flat, and we had to be connected like this. So it lays us flat, and then it shoots us forward 75 feet. So my wife is screaming loud. I'm saying nothing. I don't have no scream. I don't have no voice. I don't have nothing. And it's not that because I was scared, but it was because she said, we're swinging 75 feet in the air. It's shooting us out. And she says, you're not saying nothing. And I said, I'm trying not to throw up on these kids that are below
That would have
me,
been funny.
that were below us. I was trying not to do that. But it was the fact that we did it together. We did it together. It's memories. It's memories. So you create those memories and you have to do that. And that builds trust.
Yes.
That builds trust. Our last building block, number 7, to build trust. I believe this is yours to declare.
Right. So number 7 is be willing to give as well as receive.
Be willing to give as well as receive.
Yeah. I think that both partners are usually comfortable with giving. But sometimes we are uncomfortable with receiving.
Yeah.
And for this to work, it has to be a balance of giving and receiving. Where one person leans on another person when they're needed the most. And especially in an emotional relationship or interpersonal relationship of marriage or girlfriend, boyfriend. Of course, you're not counting, you're not keeping score. Okay, well, I bought lunch yesterday, you're going to buy lunch today and stuff like that. But it's just like we talked about earlier, your definition of trust. Being there when we need it. One of us may have fallen short or may have lost our job. Well, we're together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And until you get another job, baby, I got you.
Yeah.
You know, it's not saying, well, you lost your job. Oh, well, I need you to come in with your half of the rent this month. It's not a relationship of trust. It's not giving and receiving. And on the other hand, sometimes we don't trust and we talked about this at church, and it has to do with stubbornness.
Your half of the rent. I don't know what kind of couples we got out there that are married and paying half of the rent. No. Get the rent paid.
Right.
Like your half of the rent. I just tap the mic to see if this thing on.
No,
you're not a roommate. You're married. You're not paying your half of the rent. Go ahead.
And also, I don't need you to do this for me because the last time somebody did this for me, I don't need no help. I'm going to do it myself. You have a difficulty in receiving things. That means your pride is in a way. That means stubbornness is in a way. And that means you don't trust your spouse.
You don't trust your spouse. Yeah. If you got to do everything. You gotta drive. You gotta tell which way to go. You gotta fix everything, cook everything, spend the money. You control. That's control. You don't give your spouse an opportunity to give. Yeah. So a lot of people don't have a problem giving in their relationship. They have a problem receiving. They don't know how to receive. They know what they want. Mm-hmm. They know what they need. Mm-hmm. But they don't receive it that way. They battle. They battle with it.
They want to receive it the way they want to receive it.
Yeah. But you gotta learn to give what you need the most. If you need understanding, you're gonna have to learn to give it.
Next week's topic, understanding. Now I'm gonna see if this mic is on. Understanding.
If you need affection, you're gonna have to learn to give it. One of the tricks of the enemy in a relationship is this: you begin to withhold the number one thing you need. You begin to withhold that from your spouse. Yeah. Because think about what God wanted. God wanted his sons back in relationship with him. Mm-hmm. Sons being a genderless term, of course, but God wanted them back. So look what he gave. He gave his son. Wow. To get us back in return, to bring many sons unto glory. Yeah. So you're going to have to give the number one thing you want. Wow. The number one thing you need, you're going to have to learn how to give it. And you may feel like you don't have but a little bit left. Well, he gave his only begotten son, his last. His only, the one he had. Preach. And you're going to have to learn how to give that in your relationship. Wow. That's proper principle. So you're going to have to learn how to give what you need the most. And you're going to also have to make sure that you leave room for your spouse to give to you as well. Learn how to receive. Learn how to sit back and receive. Don't shut your spouse down when they want to give you a foot rub. Oh, yes, Lord. Foot rubs.
Even their opinion on something.
Yeah. Learn how to receive. Learn how to receive. Learn how to receive their help, their strength. Learn how to operate as a couple. Yeah. Learn how to receive. So that's going to be a real good thing. I saw something on here that I wanted to highlight under take a risk. Real quick, and for some reason I tablet brought, so I don't know if you have all the names and everything, but mine kind of acted crazy today, so it did. But I want to point out on Take the Risk, First Lady Amanda Tyler told Pastor Rico Tyler, in case y'all are in the chat room, let me go ahead and tell you. This is what First Lady Amanda Tyler told Pastor Rico Tyler. You got to take the risk. Try the sushi. Oh. Try it. It's
good. Get the shrimp tempura roll.
The shrimp tempura roll. Yeah. Yeah, I love all sushi. I remember the first time I ate sushi, I was out with Pastor Robinson and Miss Deborah, and I threw up. Oh. I threw up. Now I eat sushi like it's going out of style. I just love it. You gotta try the sushi, Pastor Rico. I'm gonna tell you what happened. It was a couple of years ago. We were at my wife's birthday celebration, and I was trying to get her to try the oysters. I love oysters. I love raw oysters, but I love oysters, period. And I tried to get her to try the oysters, and man, it was her birthday, so she tried it. I got the picture to prove it. Oh, she frowned up, couldn't swallow it, couldn't digest it.
It seems like the more that I chew, the bigger it got in my mouth. Oh my God.
All right, so this is what we found. This is what we found out about the oysters. We found out that the oysters, well, I've already knew that, but she found out that it was an aphrodisiac as well. So now she eats oysters.
Wait, what are you about to say?
Now she eats oysters. No, it's Counseling Tip Tuesday. This is family. So let me go ahead and tell everybody.
That is not why I eat oysters.
So that ain't why she eat it, but I'm going to tell y'all her little trick. Her little trick when she just want to have, when she just want to have a wild night. She just like, baby, let's go eat some oysters. And I didn't realize, because I love oysters. So she just feeding me oysters. And I didn't know that she was working this plan that she'll eat one oyster. It started off that way. She'll eat one oyster, and here I am eating the other 11. And now she eats the half of the oysters with me. You know and fellas, I found out that they work on women the same way they work on men. Get some oysters. Pastor Rico, get some oysters.
Just for that, you're taking me to Duke's to get some oysters today. Now I have to say my part. That is, first of all, that is not why I do it. Second of all, they taste really good. When you get the duked up oysters, I don't know if they have Duke seafood everywhere.
I don't. We only know of it in Denham Springs and in Watson.
Well, if you ever buy Duke seafood, get the duked up oysters. They are good. They're char grills with bacon and cheese.
Pastor Amanda Tyler, First Lady Amanda Tyler is your friend.
That is my boo.
She said sometimes we gotta do what we need to do to get things done.
I can't believe you just said this on Counseling Till Tuesday.
Yeah, man, you know I have no chill.
None.
I have no chill when it comes to repairing and restoring relationship. I believe that's one of the things that make us unique to be able to help and assist other people is that we really open ourselves up.
We do.
We really open ourselves up. So we're going to go back through these real quick and we're just going to read them. 7 ways, 7 building blocks to build trust in your relationship. Number 1, say what you mean and mean what you say. Number 2, be vulnerable gradually. Number 3, remember the role of respect. Number 4, give the benefit of the doubt. Yes. Number 5, express your feelings functionally, especially when it's tough. Number 6, take risks together. And number 7, be willing to give as well as receive. I pray that today. Number 8,
eat oysters.
Eat the oysters. I'm telling you, I bet you have some trust after that. You're going to trust me. After you try the oysters, you're going to say, he said that. He said them oysters to do that to you. Yeah. Look at Lee. Look like I'm going to get a couple dozen tonight. Bro, I'm telling you.
Oh,
Cialis or whatever they be selling on TV ain't got nothing on them oysters.
I said no. I was listening to a message from
Toy said single people, stay away from the oysters. Yeah, the oysters work, y'all. I'll tell you what. Today's broadcast again was brought to you by Elevate Church, a church of growth and maturity, a church of development, pastored by Apostle Keith Richard. Their interim location is at Victory International Ministries, 10120 Florida Boulevard. Their service times are Sunday mornings at 11 a.m., Tuesday nights at 6:30. Go check them out. I promise you will not be disappointed. If you go there, be sure to tell Apostle Richard that Dr. Young sent you. Yes. Again, I thank you for our relationship quotes from Menashe Beckwith and from Pastor Marie Berto. You saying you have been a blessing to us today. Now we're going to close out very quickly and shout out. Now, before we close out, we want to let you know that if you were blessed by today's broadcast, you have got to go and subscribe to our podcast.
Yes.
You got to go to. I want you to go to Apple Podcasts.
Yes, and Anchor Podcast.
And Google Podcast. Spotify. Anywhere there's a podcast platform, yes. Go and look up Culture Shift Podcast. Yes. When you look up the Culture Shift Podcast, I want you to click the subscribe button so that you can get all of our episodes and you can listen to it on your way to work. You can listen to it while you're at work in your headphones. You can listen to it. Your marriage ministry can subscribe to it as well. Just make sure you go and subscribe to the podcast. Also, you can find us every Wednesday morning and every Friday morning on
Rapture Ready Radio.
Rapture Ready Radio. We want to shout out Rapture Ready Radio. If you do not have the Rapture Ready Radio station, go and download the Live 365 app. And when you download the Live 365 app, make sure that you search Rapture Ready Radio. Click it as one of your favorites, and you will have a radio station that is going to give you top of the line, top notch, local and national recording artists that is going to give you gospel music that is going to be a great blessing, gospel rap, gospel hip hop in particular, that is going to be a great blessing to you. But you can find us on Rapture Ready Radio every Wednesday at 9 a.m., every Friday at 9 a.m. So when you're on your way to work, you'll be able to tune in to Rapture Ready Radio.
Don't forget to like the Solutions Counseling page. You can find this broadcast, this recording on the Solutions Counseling page on Facebook. Like the page. Don't forget to like the video and share the video. A lot of times we look at stuff, we see stuff on Facebook and we enjoy it, but we forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the share button on this video. Yeah. Now it's time to shout out some people who have been with us.
Let's go ahead and shout. We pray today's segment was impactful and beneficial for relationships across the globe. To partner with us, subscribe to Culture Shift Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or any podcast platform. We look forward to your support as we shift the culture, one relationship at a time.